Hello and welcome. Myself and Mr. Dave, hello Dave,
Hello.
we went to watch Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 recently. And we thought we'd pop on and just give you our thoughts about it. The first part of this is going to be spoiler free, so no spoilers at all, or at least not big spoilers. And then a little bit later we'll jump into a spoiler section if you've already watched it, or in fact if you've just been away, come back and then watched it.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
So, first of all, very quickly, what did we think briefly?
Epic, really. I think, wasn't it? You kind of know what to expect from these type of films now, don't you? You're getting an action adventure. You're going to have a bit of light-hearted fun in there as well, and I think it's end of the world stuff. I think it delivers on all those points again, doesn't it?
Epic, I think is the word. It's definitely the word. The general synopsis for this film, without spoilers, is, it's part one of two. There's two films. Another one's coming out next year, part two. They have two main objectives. One that they're going to sort out within this film, the other one they're going to sort out in the next film,
part two,
next year. And this film concerns them trying to find an artifact that's in two pieces that they have to put together, authenticate and find, so that the bad guys don't get it.
Yeah, it's basically linked to a terrifying weapon, isn't it, which could cause global catastrophe. And the IMF have got to step in and save the day again, haven't they?
Yeah. That's essentially the plot, watered down without any spoilers. Really, that's what it is, and you find out all of this within the first bit of the film anyway, because you get the whole your mission should you choose to accept it. So they tell you all that anyway.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's that much of a spoiler to tell everybody that it's a key.
No, probably
and it's
not.
Two parts of a key that they have to put together.
Yeah.
The second film is going to be looking for the lock.
Yeah.
So that's we won't give any more away
What
about
does
that.
it unlock? What does it do? Basically, isn't it? It's what they go through in the first film.
Let's talk about the epic set pieces in this, because there's two main big ones.
Yes, there is.
We have one where Tom Cruise rides a motorcycle up a mountain, goes off the edge of it, and then parachutes.
Yeah.
He did the high climbing before in films.
Yeah.
But it's a first for him doing this.
Yeah, firing yourself off the edge of a cliff, on a vehicle being flung off there, it's pretty dangerous, isn't it? And then
I think I'm right in saying that the production crew didn't know if it had worked or not for the first however many seconds.
Yeah.
So he'd gone off the edge. They were waiting for a parachute because they didn't know if he'd died or not.
No.
And I think I'm also right in saying that Tom Cruise insisted that they do this stunt first, because he said, if I die doing it, there's no point wasting the rest of the film.
No,
we've recorded it, we can't finish. So we'll do this first, and if it all goes well, then we can make the rest of it, which I think's just...
He's kind of one of those actors, isn't he, that likes to do his own stunts, likes to drive the own cars, likes to fly the planes himself rather than using stunt doubles.
Well, in the last film he did, which was
Fallout,
he learnt to fly helicopters so he could fly in the film.
Yeah.
I think he picks things in all these films that he wants to do
so
anyway. He
He
can learn how to do it.
Yeah, probably.
I sort of joked that the next one would be, it's Mission Impossible in space, just so he can learn how to be an astronaut.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd get past him, would you, for the film after next? But yeah, he does a lot of these stunts himself, puts his life on the line. But like you say, he is sort of very careful about it, and he does think about his other cast and crew, before he's doing these things as well.
There was a clip recently leaked online where Tom Cruise is absolutely rollicking someone verbally for not doing something correctly.
Yeah.
And you could listen to that clip and think, what an absolute horrible person. But then you think about it and it's like, hang on a minute. This is the guy that rides a motorcycle up the mountain and off the edge of it.
Yeah.
It's got to be right and it's got to be safe.
Yeah, that's right.
And just to point, he did actually do that. The only CGI they used in that was the little ramp they built so he could actually get the speed up to go over the mountain.
Yeah.
They just took that out. But he was going up the edge of the mountain and off the end of it.
But he always does those sort of crazy things, doesn't he, in these films? Very impressive.
Well, that brings us to the second set piece, the big set piece, which was in this film, there is a train that goes over a cliff.
Yes.
and they filmed it just down the road in Derbyshire. In fact, Dave, in a quarry. They sort of dammed it. They put water in it and built a bit of track and chucked the train off.
Yeah, apparently, I was reading earlier, they wanted to use an actual 1908 bridge, and they basically got refused to do it because they didn't like the explosions and things, even though they were going to be careful with it. They were like, no, it's a historic piece of building, it's an old bridge, can't do it. So yeah, they had a bit of a hoo-ha over that about whether they could use it or not.
To be honest, you go somewhere and you build your own, you're now controlling your own space and you can do what you like with it. So it's probably better that they actually went there and did it.
Yeah, because it's very difficult, isn't it, to go and use real buildings, real bridges, and say we're going to have loads of explosions and fire and stuff. You're bound to worry about the area being damaged, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Fair enough. So the cast then, as you would expect, you've got your Mission Impossible regulars.
Yes.
Obviously Tom Cruise, we've talked about. Hayley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson. Vanessa Kirby coming back as the White Widow again in this one.
Yes,
which is cool.
What I did think was interesting was we was watching something the other day about the behind the scenes, and Christopher McQuarrie was talking about that they kind of have people in mind for roles and bring them in and then kind of write the role with them and develop the character with them while they're there. Which I thought was very interesting, because a lot of the time you've got a script, everything's all written out, and they kind of go through loads and loads of actors, loads of auditions.
Who are we looking for?
Yeah, whereas in this,
it's
kind of like we've already identified that person.
Yeah.
And, so there's no big reams of auditions in Mission Impossible films.
No.
So that's quite cool.
They go all around the world, as you would expect.
They do.
Lots of lovely cinematic shots. The story. So there is a part of this story that revolves around artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And I've got no problem with that. But there's also an element to this story about the artificial intelligence becoming sentient.
Yeah.
And now, we're not going to say in this non-spoiler bit exactly how that happens or why or anything else about it.
I mean, it's very much trending at the moment. It's in the news, isn't it?
Yeah.
All about the fears of AI.
I didn't like that little bit of the storyline. And you'll find in the spoiler section it's pivotal. But the point is, I don't know if this should have gone there. Did it take it more from Mission Impossible to Mission Sci-Fi?
I suppose you could say that, it's maybe got a little bit of element of that in there. Kind of, how they did with, we've said recently, in the Indiana Jones film with the Crystal Skulls, it kind of went a little bit sci-fi and a bit X-Files, didn't it? It went off the pale of where it normally would go as a movie. So, yeah, I can see what you're saying with that.
I must admit, though, a long film, 2 hours, 40-something minutes.
Yeah, it's a long film.
We sat in nice, comfortable, big leather IMAX chairs.
Recliner
in the cinema. So we were quite comfortable. But you never got, the pacing of the film is really good. You never got the impression that, oh my God, I've been sat here for 2 hours.
Yeah, there's some films where you feel like that could have finished half an hour ago.
Yeah.
We didn't have that at all.
No, I don't think there's any bits really that you would cut out because you thought you didn't need it.
No, I don't think so.
And I think for a 2 hour 40 film, that's quite good.
Yeah, it's kudos to them, isn't it, that they got the pacing spot on of how they told the story throughout that 2 hours 40 minutes.
Yeah, the humour is back in these films, like we had in some of the previous films. So you've got in this one, most of it comes from Simon Pegg's character Benji telling Ethan Hunt what to do.
Yeah.
Just go over the cliff, and you switch to Ethan Hunt on the top going, I'll just drive off the cliff, shall I, sort of thing. That's funny. I love those interactions.
Yeah, you're all right. You haven't got to do it. You sat there in your comfortable car with your seatbelt on.
There is a response from Benji in this one where he's like, look, I'm under a lot of pressure here. It's so funny.
Yeah,
he really is.
There's a lot of humour in there, isn't there? And we was on about the pacing of the film as well. I think it's worth pointing out that Christopher McQuarrie as well would talk to the actors and they'd try lots of different shots and different things. And they said there was one scene where there was 2 pages of dialogue originally, and it was condensed down eventually to 2 sentences and just like a physical embrace. Instead, he was like, why go through 2 reams of dialogue, 2 pages of dialogue, when you can get the exact same message over a lot quicker, a lot shorter. Yeah. And there was a lot of that in the film as well. just clever.
Yeah, and I think that's comes back to the pacing.
Yeah,
Lots and lots of dialogue really does not get in the way, but it deducts from the quality of a scene.
yeah. You need to pick the moments for the long dialogue.
Oh,
don't you?
absolutely. To wrap up this sort of non-spoiler section, then it's well paced.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like you're in the cinema for a long time to watch it. You are engrossed in the film. It engages you. Good cinematic images in it. And
Yeah, all
scenes.
filmed in IMAX as well.
Yeah.
IMAX camera, which
But of course.
yeah, most are now.
And some really nice stunt pieces, as you'd expect.
And for $291 million, you'd think it's going to look good, wouldn't you?
You would think it would look good.
Yeah.
And it's doing really well at the box office.
Is, it's doing...
Not that we expected it not to.
No, it's doing good numbers.
So yeah, worth a watch, definitely. So go watch it. And if you've already watched it, stay with us because we're going to go into our spoiler section.
Spoiler alert section.
Probably about 5 seconds. Spoiler section. Now we can talk about it and tell everybody everything because this is going to be good.
We can say it all.
So we said in the previous section that they've got to find a key. These two keys open a vault inside a submarine that's sunk.
Which gives you access to the source code, doesn't it?
The idea is there's a program that the governments are trying to use to infiltrate computer systems, and it will, do all kinds of nefarious things, basically.
Yeah.
And it's become sentient and has decided that it's got its own agenda.
Yeah.
And it wants to wants to survive and pretty much take everybody else out, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very Skynet, very Terminator-esque,
I was just about to say,
it's
it's not called Skynet, but it comes very close.
Yeah.
And the only way to stop it is to locate it, which at the point in this first film, they don't know where it is.
They don't know where it is, no.
We kind of know as a viewer, but they don't.
Yeah.
There's only one man who knew where it was, and he gets bumped off by a character called Gabriel, who works for the Entity, which is the name of the intelligence.
Yeah. Which is Henry Czerny, who's been in Mission Impossible before, hasn't he?
Ah, yes. Yes, he has.
Yeah. So him and Ethan Hunt have got a bit of a stormy relationship, haven't they? Yeah. They're a little bit mortal enemies.
They need to find this vault, but that'll be the second film, which is next year, as we said.
And of course, everybody around the world is all looking for this key and all wanting the superpower for themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, they all think it, And the computer's playing them off against each other.
Yeah.
This super intelligence has access to everything that's connected computer-wise at all.
Yeah.
So it knows pretty much everything. It can compute things. So it looks ahead to all possible scenarios and tries to, get its own way.
Yeah, and it gives them like superior stealth technology as well, doesn't it? So they can other submarines, other boats in the area can't see them.
That's true, but the submarine goes down near the beginning. But what I liked I didn't like the fact it becomes sentient. I just didn't like that. I thought that you could have just made a big supercomputer that's programmed to do something, and it's doing it without actually going to the realms of consciousness. I thought.
Yeah,
you know what? After watching the film and reflecting on it for a day or two, and then we're obviously sat here talking about it, I'm going to let them off because it was an awesome film.
Yeah, it was good and it was done well, wasn't it? And it's, as we said earlier, AI is very much in the news and very much trending at the moment. And I think that they were kind of trying to get onto that message in this film, wasn't they? And try and explore that a little bit. Yeah.
The one bit I did like was because this intelligence is controlling all the computers, when they're trying to scan for this guy that this Gabriel, they can't find him because as he's walking around, the intelligence is deleting him in real time on all the cameras.
On all the cameras.
So he's like a ghost. And I thought that was just a really cool idea.
Yeah.
As a story vehicle to get through that sequence without you even knowing where he is.
Yeah.
And until they said it, I didn't realise that's what was happening, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I mean it's like later on in the film as well, where Luther's trying to control the satellites in orbit to help him, and the Entity's like shutting him down as he's hacking into him, which isn't helping him very much.
Again, they do towards the end of the film they realise what's happened, and they have to go a bit more analogue. So all their digital stuff they have to leave behind. So they're going with analogue comms. They're getting old satellites that they'd give to weather companies, weather stations now.
Yeah.
and getting control of those because they're analog, which isn't as reliable, but it's the only way.
That they can stay
Yeah.
out of sight a little bit, yeah.
Again, let's just talk about the train crash sequence. So the end of the sort of set piece towards the end of the film is this big. They're on the Orient Express going through the Alps.
Yeah.
Although the crash actually was filmed, just as I said earlier, down the road, just in Derby, and I actually did some camping last year, just round the corner from where they filmed.
Nice.
Round where the quarry was. Really lovely part of the country.
Until they blew it up.
Well, it's still a really lovely part of the country.
Yes.
What I liked about that set piece is it goes over the engine goes into the bottom of the quarry.
Yeah.
And the carriages kind of just keep hanging on a little bit, and then they slide down, and the next one falls down. And you expect it's going to be like one carriage or on the edge, or it's fell up the escape.
Yeah.
But they keep this sequence going for about 5 or 10 minutes as another carriage goes, and then another carriage goes,
And they have to
and they're constantly trying to climb through these
climb
carriages.
up to not drop down.
You'd think that it gets tedious, but it really doesn't. And I must admit, I was more sort of on the edge of my seat with each carriage that went down.
Yeah. Tom Cruise is going to die.
Oh no, Tom Cruise is going to die. We had to get Alan Partridge in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Really keeps you engrossed and engaged. And you kind of know at the end of the film that he's going to be okay. You know, there is a death in the team. That's a spoiler.
Yeah.
We're not going to say who it is because I think that would be too much. But there is a death from someone in the team. And when they set up that sequence and you see it starting to unfold, you can see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you don't, because it's two films, they could have done something really terrible. They could have had Ethan Hunt really crippled and whatever at the end of the film, and you don't know what's going to happen. You know he's coming back, but they could have killed anyone off.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, why not? They've got another film to bring it back somehow. If they're bringing a supercomputer and that's sentient, they can bring someone back to life. No, that's me being fishy. Sorry, it was good. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. Any standout performances, Dave?
I think, I mean, you always know you're going to get a good performance from Tom Cruise, but I think Rebecca Ferguson was very good. I thought the new cast member as well, Hayley Atwell, I thought she came in and played off really well against Tom Cruise. She'd not really had obviously the experience of the previous films to get to know him and to have that chemistry, and I thought they found that quite quickly. So I thought they worked well together. And yeah, like you say, with Benji carrying on being the field agent, and the humour when he's trying to help Tom Cruise, he's trying to help Ethan Hunt out. I don't think there was one standout performance.
No.
I really don't think you could say that. There's perhaps a couple of them, but yeah, probably Tom Cruise and Rebecca Ferguson, I'd probably say if pushed for the top two, but they were all very good.
I like the fact that Benji, Simon Pegg's character's developed quite a lot now. Went from being in the van to a field agent and does really well. I love the fact that you obviously have masks, and I love the fact that you get to see this other side of people acting.
Yeah. Because
they're obviously playing someone else as themselves because they're wearing a mask, and they have to play it completely differently. And it's surprising how difficult that can be once you've got into a character and you've been playing it for months. And all of a sudden you've got into a scene where you're the same person but different.
But try and pretend you're being played by someone else, so it's not quite right.
It's like, I suppose it's like if you know how to drive a car, but you then have to drive the car incorrectly. I've been on a private road before and tried to do that. It's really difficult to do. To try and make it splutter and
because it's such instinct.
It's muscle memory. You're so programmed to do it the correct way that to try and then break it and do it the wrong way is really difficult.
Yeah, so that must take a lot of work, a lot of training, a lot of hours to get that right.
They get the key, and there's a lovely sequence with Tom Cruise, just reading on the notes here, that there is a sequence where he gets the key and he does a bit of sleight of hand on screen, makes it disappear. What I loved about that is he wanted to do that with he wanted to do that himself, and it took numerous takes, but he eventually did do that with no CGI. or little to no visual effects.
Yeah.
He did most of that effect on his own. I'd love to see sleight of hand and magic in films.
Yeah, so you don't see it very often, but it's
No.
good when you see it. Very good when you do see that.
And can we just point out that Tom Cruise is now, what, 61?
Yeah.
61. I didn't realise he was 61 till we
No,
looked at the notes for
I
this. That's just ridiculous.
But him and Henry Cerny can still run around on the top of a train fighting each other, even at that
The
age.
guy's mad.
Yeah, a little bit.
And yet, awesome at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he's the age to be somebody's granddad, isn't he, pretty much? But, you know, he's still going off and doing these wild, wonderful
20-year older than me. I creak when I get out of bed in the morning.
Well, it's training, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Day after day after day after training, that's what it is.
Awesome film. We know, obviously, like I say, part one's finding and getting the key, which after many, many, many challenges, they managed to get it at the end.
To get it in the end.
So we go into film 2 with them just finding out at the last minute that it is, in fact, the name of a submarine is something they're looking for, which we know as a viewer that it's the vault in the beginning, in front of the submarine, which has got this the source code, the drive where this artificial intelligence lives, I suppose.
Yeah, where it's source code
where it's
based. Yeah.
So they need to find this, go in there, and then they have access to it to delete it, shut it down, or whatever. If the next film is the same sort of length, you've got 2 hours 40 of them trying to get to it. Well, we've heard nothing about stunts from the second film yet, because obviously they've shut down production now.
Yeah.
Due
It
to
started, but
due to
shut
the
down,
current
haven't
riot strikes in the industry in the US, which is absolutely understandable.
they? Yeah.
Well, we don't know I can't wait for next year.
Whether it makes its June 28 premiere next year or not, still we don't know. It might be delayed a little.
We'll watch this space. In the meantime, though, I think we really enjoyed watching it. You need to go watch it, and that's it for today. Any last thoughts, Dave?
No, I think like you said, go and watch it. Epic film, very enjoyable. Not too long. Great performances, great set pieces, good interesting story, and it sets up part 2 very well, doesn't it? You know, it does leave you wanting more, which is what you need on a two-parter.
Well, I've got nothing else to add to that, Dave. I think you've pretty much summed that up completely. Needless to say, I will reiterate, go watch the film. Thank you so much for joining us for this little look back at Dead Reckoning Part 1, Part 2 coming out next year. It is worth a watch. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again real soon.